Corvus Belli sent me the new action pack for the Syenann faction of Warcrow, and it gives us something new to play with in their new fantasy game. Playing with the hegemony of Embersig, we've seen a faction that has strong defense and the ability to hold down an objective. The northern tribes have their offensive and aggressive playstyle, so where do the Syenann fit into the game and how are they going to play on the battlefield? In this video, we'll have a look at what you get in the box, what the models are like to build, and looking at the unit cards, seeing how the Syenann play. First of all, I'd like to say that I'm not much of an elf player. I've never really connected with them, and their poncy better than thou nature has always rubbed me a little bit the wrong way, especially as they hide their often cruel nature behind a mask of altruistic wisdom. Not so with the Syenann, who project a much more "get off my lawn" vitriol toward anyone coming close to their forests. This transparent and direct nature draws them to me much more than any other fantasy game's elf armies or characters. The box set comes with 10 models for the Syenann, along with their unit profile cards. Putting the models together, the quality of the parts was very good, and were probably the best Siokar sculpts I've seen so far. This does not mean that they were easy to put together. There were parts where removing flash was a little confusing as to what was part of the model and what was not. I'd accidentally removed a stub of an arm, thinking it to be flash, as well as a feather on a bow. I also received an extra protector of the forest in my set, which was a nice bonus, but it turned out I was also missing a shadow of the U model as well. This happens from time to time, but an email to Corvus Belli's mispack department gets a quick response, and the missing miniature is now in the mail. Now, let's get started at looking at the unit profiles with the regular Lainn infantry, the protectors of the forest. These make up the regular Lainn troopers for the Syenann, and unlike the northern tribe's aggressive melee hunters or the defensive hegemony bucklermen, the protectors of the forest take more of a harassing role. With an 18 stride range, they can keep their distance and do a decent amount of damage, especially as one of their switches lets them cancel shields from the target's defense. As they do damage with their ranged attack, they also inflict stress, which is very effective at preventing enemy units from possible reactivations or boosting their combat rolls. To help the unit keep their distance from the enemy, they can make a free displacement after making a ranged attack, as long as they are in a 5 stride range of a forest or Nemorous unit. A number of the Syenann units have the Nemorous keyword, so keeping these nearby may be beneficial. Some interesting points to note are the fact that the elves are very quick. They have a 4-3 move, allowing them to cover more ground than either the hegemony or the northern tribes. What is also interesting is the fact that their defense roll does not change as they lose models. Perhaps this may reflect that the Syenann rely on their agility to avoid being hit. They are more expensive than the base units for other faction, but their ability to harass effectively is a clear reason for this. The main issue I see for this unit has them harassing from a distance, so it's hard for them to take objectives and hold them. I see their use as a means to soften up a target for other units to swoop in and finish off an enemy before bounding off for another area of the battlefield. Now, if the protectors of the forest are used to harass and weaken a unit, the shadows of the U are the executors, with a melee attack that can cancel shields, auto damages on hollow successes, and can be boosted with stress. They are a deadly unit that wants to kill an enemy outright if possible. As a defense, they can also disengage from their enemy. With a silent and precise ability, the shadows of the U prevent their opponent from using switches or passive skills when they assault or charge. These units seem like they are going to be especially good against the hegemony, who often have defensive switches to keep themselves protected. By bypassing these extra defenses, their attack is going to be made all the more effective. On top of this, they are camouflaged, forcing enemy units to pass a willpower test twice before they are able to declare an action against them. This works very well with their incredible movement of 4/4, and silent and precise, as it further increases the chances that the shadows of the U dictate engagements. As an ambusher as well, they do not need to be deployed. This is kept secret from your opponent and can either deploy engaged with an enemy inside the Syenann deployment zone, or appear anywhere on the battlefield 10 strides away from and out of line of sight from the enemy. To help encourage the Syenann and put fear into the hearts of the enemy, the support unit, Aoidos, is here with his unique elven instrument. Able to run solo or join a unit, he has a variety of roles he can play on the battlefield. Not much of a warrior, he does not want to engage the enemy on his own. Rather, he will keep his distance, protected by other elven units, and possibly providing bonuses to them thanks to his Nemorous keyword. He can play Ballad of the Dryad to put upon an enemy unit the state of his choice. With 4 negative traits to choose from, it's very useful to hinder the enemy in just the right way for the Syenann to take advantage. The target also has to pass a willpower test with 2 successes, or they will also have one of their skills silenced for 3 turns. To help keep Aoidos safe from attack, any enemy declaring an attack must pass a willpower test or receive stress. The other option is to have him join a unit. This will help to keep him safe, and he's able to provide some benefits, such as improved willpower and morale. He also gives the unit the ability to remove stress and state tokens and put them onto the enemy. I can see Aoidos being a good option for either the Protectors of the Forest or Shadows of the U. For the Protectors, giving them extra morale makes them a little more flexible, as they can more comfortably be reactivated during a round. For the Shadows of the U, always being close to the enemy, getting to boost attacks with stress, and then also being close enough to the opponent to shift stress and negative traits gives the unit even more flexibility. The Druid is the Syenann's main spellcaster in this box set and is unable to join other units. It's awful at fighting and has a terrible defense, so as soon as a strong wind hits this guy, he's going down. However, attacking in close combat is not the reason for bringing this unit. He will be supporting the other units on the battlefield or making magical ranged attacks. His Punish the Intruder is a decent ranged attack, which can be further improved to cause the target to suffer stress and become slowed, or adding an orange die for each forest or allied Nemorous unit within 5 strides of the target. I wouldn't push the unit to get into range of an enemy, as it puts the spellcaster into unnecessary danger. However, his other magic spell is a very welcome buff for allied units. Exalting the Troops will add an orange die to a target, and all allied units within 5 strides of the target unit to melee attack rolls for 4 turns. This can also be improved by letting the target remove stress or change out the additional orange die with a red or yellow die. This particular addition will be most useful for units that already are rolling the maximum number of orange dice. Putting this on the Shadows of the U will make them that more deadly. I can definitely see them one-shotting units thanks to this spell alongside all their other bonuses to attack. Finally, the Druids can place an additional forest on the battlefield after all other terrain elements have been placed. This ensures that the Syenann have some terrain that benefits them on the battlefield. Ynyr Lainn, a very easy name to read indeed, is probably the most unique looking Syenann in the set with his broad wings. He moves as swiftly as other elves, but has a charge of 20 strides, which is insane compared with any other unit we've seen so far. He is maneuverable and can pretty much reach anyone he needs to. Coupled with the fact that he has the scout ability, if your opponent has left any support hero unattached from a unit, this guy can easily pick them off before anyone says, "Is it a bird?" Ynyr can also engage units outside of line of sight with his Death from the Skies ability. It is shorter ranged than the charge, but you can go over other units to engage, and it adds an additional yellow die to the attack roll. With the To the Sky command ability, it makes it very easy for Ynyr to disengage from combat, shoving all engaged units away from him. He gets removed from play, has all stress and states removed from his profile, and then redeploys with the Scout ability. What's really nice is that he has the opportunity to activate To the Sky for free with his Resin Cabacon ability. This lets him ignore 1 damage during the resolution of a combat, and if he passes a willpower test, he can perform To the Sky for free. I see Ynyr as a model that is very useful for catching enemy units that are out of position and making swift attacks, harrying units before escaping away to do so again next turn. Ynyr can also be run with a cheaper alternative profile named Alula. Although some stats are fairly similar to Ynyr, Alula's purpose on the battlefield is very different. Alula is a strong warrior, but more importantly, a tactical observer of the battlefield. He does not have Scout, so will start in deployment, but as long as he has line of sight to an enemy, then all allied units count as having line of sight. This makes him a very useful point man for all the ranged units in the army, as they will be able to shoot from the safety of blocking terrain. His command ability, Surprise Attack, is an excellent support for nearby allies that are suddenly engaged. He will swoop in to join the defense and put the disarmed state onto the attacking unit, giving the defending unit a greater chance of survival. Lioslaith is the commander of the Syenann. As a named commander, she's cheaper than Aalborg and Drago. She's a capable fighter, but only brings a single command token. This is reflected in how her character seems to care more about engaging an enemy rather than directly commanding her forces. The only bonus she provides her allies is the ability to ignore 1 point of damage per activation, as long as they are in range of a forest or Nemorous unit. It's a good bonus, but does nothing for improving maneuverability or strategy. Even for herself, the only ability that she carries, and it's a good one, is to escape death once per game. She leads by example, and that example is in viciousness. She seems to be more at home joining a unit of Shadows of the U, where she can ambush enemies. As a part of a unit that charges or assaults, she puts the vulnerable state on the enemy and can repeat roll 2 dice from her unit's attacks. Already, the Shadows of the U are beastly, but adding Lioslaith will make them nigh unstoppable. The Grand Captain, conversely, is a more thoughtful commander, bringing 2 command points and having a command ability of his own that allows the repositioning of 2 units per round. He is more tempered than Lioslaith and approaches battles with strategy in mind. On top of this, all allied units gain preferred terrain, rugged and forest. With the ability to attack at range, he may also be more comfortable joining a unit of Protectors of the Forest, as he offers a bonus success for ranged attacks, and with their maneuverability and the fact that he gives them the Nemorous keyword, he can more thoughtfully position and reposition for the greatest advantage during a battle. So this box set gives us now a good idea of how the Syenann are going to play. An army that acts as a scalpel to target and weaken specific areas of an opposing army before delivering killing blows. They bleed stress on their enemies to reduce their effectiveness, and although they are unable to hold objectives effectively, if they are able to remove selected units from the battlefield, then they will not have to contest an objective because no one else will be left alive. I see them losing objective points in the early game, but with their ability to weaken, finish off and maneuver around an enemy, they have the ability to outlive enemy units and score with confidence in the late game. A Syenann player has to see where opportunities of attack present themselves and avoid getting caught in the attrition game of contesting objectives. I'm super excited to get this army painted up and try them out on the battlefield. I think they're going to be bringing a very different playstyle to the game. So far it has felt like the hegemony have an edge over the northern tribes with their solid defense and objective control. However, I foresee the Syenann causing them some serious issues with the added stress, cancellation of defensive switches, and ability to duck out of combat before retaliation can be made. I also think that Syenann probably have more to fear from the northern tribes, as their aggressive playstyle may bleed the Syenann early and make it difficult for them to play their long game guerrilla strategy. However, time will tell as we start to see more games involving the Syenann in games of Warcrow. What do you think of the Syenann? Will they bring a new playstyle to Warcrow, and if so, is it one you want to try? Please comment below, leave a like to help support the channel, and subscribe if you want to see more content for Warcrow in the future. I will be back with a painting video on taking inspiration from seasonal color palettes to paint your Syenann in unique colors other than the box art. So, until next time, why not check out this Warcrow video while I go get to painting?